All right, guys, so what we're going to do here is a Kia 2016 Soul front suspension. Going to replace the complete strut. I've got the complete assembled spring and actual shock absorber. Just going to replace the whole unit. So, get right into this. So what this looks like is, we're going to have to take this little guy off and keep the bracket. Typically, it doesn't come with all these little brackets. Like this piece, it'll just have that little kind of platform to put it on. This is going to disconnect. This is going to disconnect. Then we're going to do these two bolts. Then on the top, we've actually got to take this whole assembly off, and underneath there's 3 bolts. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. It's going to involve taking these caps off of that, popping those arms off. And then you can lift this, there's these little kind of clips and stuff around. Got to take those apart, and then this basically comes right off. It's really not as hard as it seems. I was a little intimidated by it at first, but once I did it on the Sedona. Actually not that hard, and so now we're going to do it here. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with this guy. I'm going to get these guys loosened up. Now you see it's a little Phillips thing here, so I've got my Phillips screwdriver. Just lightly, you don't want any down pressure. Just kind of lightly unscrew it. Potentially not even all the, yeah, see, not even all the way. Just plenty of room. All you're trying to do is let this compress enough to slip right out. Really easy. Go around. Nice and gentle. You don't want to break them because then you have to find kits. Find kits to replace them, and it can be kind of a pain. So that is generally pretty loose. One thing, I'm going to bring this over to this side. Make sure you can see this. So one thing you do want to pay attention to is pulling. Find the best place to, yeah, I think this is going to work. Yeah, pull this. This is the washer fluid hose. Pull that off, and then that leaves this open. You need to pull that out of that little bracket, but that pulls that open, and you're good to go. So the whole bottom of this is, you see, actually, see, I'm just giving it some gentle wiggles here. You can see the whole thing, and it's coming out. Okay. Yeah, see, it's ready to come out. I just got to pull these little caps off, and then undo those bolts that are underneath. Can I get it with my fingernails? Some little bit under that just to kind of help. I always try and do this with the least invasive, I guess you could say, tool possible, because I don't want to do any damage to stuff and then always have a stupid little plastic part with all kinds of grooves and things on it. Because then it drives me nuts, and I end up having to hunt down how to replace it, or finding the parts to replace it, and they're always way more expensive than you want them to be. But I'm just a little compulsive that way. All right, I'm going to do those little nuts there. $17? Let's see now. That's not 17. Probably more like 14. Ah, look at that. There we go. A little bit of an extension, just get out of this housing here. And these guys, be as easy as you can. There we go. And pulling those off. There we go. So if I kind of give it a little, really pull that way to kind of even out the pressure, it comes right off. And there you go. So then, look at this guy. It's like he just wants to come out of there. Now, of course, the trick is Getting it out around the little pistons for the, there we go, for the hood there. Just gotta maneuver that guy just right. All right, so these are the 3 bolts that I'm talking about that we need to get to. So now we're free and clear. Now on the Sedona, yeah, this arm, I did end up taking this nut off. Very, very similar. I know it's such a simple mechanism. I'm sure a lot of cars are very similar. Unless you get into crazy things, you know, Beamers that have like opposing wipers or something. But if I take this screw just out here, and I think I didn't even take it all the way out. I just loosened it so I had a little bit of room so I could get a breaker bar, my torque wrench in here to properly handle that back nut. But the front 2, you know, are just in plain sight, obviously. So we'll play around with that. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is, that's perfect. Second thing I'm gonna do is start getting all the little pieces and parts off. 12. A little extension just to maybe reach in. Oh yeah, that's a small guy too. A little extension, just kind of reach in there a little better. Set that guy aside safely. Okay. All right, so the one thing I will say, what we want to be careful of here is actually an opportunity to do some inspection too. We really want to be careful of these hoses, okay? You don't want to damage these, really, the brakes and things like that. You really don't want to do any damage for obvious safety reasons. The other thing you want to do while you're down here is kind of inspect all these little kind of rubber boots that are on everything. You want to make sure they seem all intact, there's no tears. This is protecting, you know, these joints that have to move and do things with suspension and steering, and so you don't want anything to be ripped. So you can kind of, I'm kind of feeling around the bottom, and I'll probably get more into this too as I get this guy out of the way and look a little closer. You can check your brake pads, make sure you got some life left on those. Like I said, just a good opportunity to kind of check a little bit of everything. Even back here, check all these little boots and joints and make sure nothing looks damaged. You have, you know, fluid oozing out all over the place, you know, things like that. Right now, looks good. Pushing 90,000 miles on these guys, and this is all in really good shape. So that's nice. All right. So what I want to do is start to get this guy off. And one of the things, well, we'll see what happens first. I'm going to get this guy off. $17. All right. This is a little bit higher torque scenario. I get that. Oh, really not too bad. I mean, these are really only supposed to be up to about 70 or 80 foot-pounds, I think. Don't quote me on that just yet. I'm going to verify that before, of course, I put this back together. Yes. Okay. So you're going to see, shoot, you're going to see something happen there. Get that guy back. This is now at an angle. I have a way to deal with that. Yeah, I want to pull that actually down a little bit. So see, bam. So you see what I did there. So you see what I did there. I got this breaker bar down. There's a little hole down here just in this arm that's coming out to the wheel. Hook the end of it under there and pull this rod down to straighten this out, and then just push right out. Really easy. So that's all you do. And then I'll show you that. Now, of course, you see it's all the way up there. I'm going to use my jack later when I go to put this back together, and use my jack later to push on the bottom of the wheel once I kind of get these bolts in, and raise this up so I can get that back in. So, but we'll see how that works later. All right. And let's see if I can just loosen this side up. Obviously, I'm eventually going to have to hold that, but let's see if I can just get it loosened before that other side starts to turn. Got that nice and loosened up. How far will this let me go? Yeah, see, that's starting to spin. Oh wow, that one didn't spin. All right, guys, for one thing, I'm gonna say quickly, see, a lot of younger guys will just lay this tire down, they just kind of sit on it, hard metal, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Having this pad here, it really is a drop cloth, just a fabric drop cloth, but literally saving my butt. That middle wheel is really intense to just sit on long term. So just a suggestion, have some kind of a pad here. Anyway, got some bungee cords. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those in just a minute. Right now, let me get this off. There. Didn't take much to hold that. That's good. Okay. So now, what I want to do, I'm going to knock this guy out, and then I'm going to get my bungee cords up on there. That just kind of helps stabilize this a little bit while you're messing around with things. You don't want it to totally come out like in your lap when you're doing this. Sometimes you need a little movement, but you want to have something kind of helping to hold. All right, nice rubber mallet. Just being really careful. Yeah, that is not wanting to move quite as easily. So, like I said, I want to get this going anyway. See if I can just unscrew it. It's got that much pressure. There we go. Man, I think it was actually just that rusted. Spinning it just broke it loose. So it is a little rusted here. I've got some brushes, and a lot of that's just wiping off. If I get some brushes, I might kind of work at that a little bit, clean it up a little bit. All right, so since I have this bolt sticking out like this, I've got this socket set that just allows for that scenario. Yeah. So I'm doing these two. I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but there's these other two here. And yeah, see, that was kind of what I thought might happen. When I have to get my torque wrench in here, I'm probably gonna have to loosen that. All right, so I'm getting all three of these kind of loosened all the way to the top. So now, this guy, you know, it just occurs to me, I kind of wrap this thing all up now. I need to take that green one. Where is it hooked? I can take this green one out because it's actually wrapping. Just not thinking. Let's hook it over here for now or something. It's really not, yeah, it's not doing anything, but hopefully that wrapping is enough. Okay. See, this wants to rock around on me. That's what I don't want to have happen too much of. Come out a little bit just to allow me. Okay. So now by hand, in theory, I can get to these nuts on the top. Kind of feeling my way around. Okay, I've got two of them off. Okay, this other one I swing it this way and give it a little lift. I'm just kind of lifting it with my fingers underneath, getting that third one off, and then that's, I know I'm ready to have this come down. There we go. Tilt it out, and bam. Old strut out. So there we go. And see, this is, see, really, it's a bit precarious. It really is, and you just don't want it to go too crazy. There's a right and a left to these guys. I'm going to show you in just a minute. For one, you can take this off now. Some warnings, you can read it. Just saying, spring is under pressure. Don't do anything stupid, basically. Like, try and take it apart. The spring's going to fly. If you don't have the right tools to keep it compressed, you're going to have problems. That's why it's so nice to just get one that is pre-assembled. Okay, so as I was saying, there is a right and a left, okay? You want to make sure this bracket is on the same side as where this is going to be when you go to put this in, okay? Another thing I'm going to throw out there is the nuts that come with it are very possibly going to be different sizes than what was on there. That's what I've been found. They come with their own nuts, so I just use their own nuts. No point in, you know, putting a square peg in a round hole, right? Okay. So, this guy just goes right back up here. Move that hose out of the way. Orient it just like this. Get a visual of where I'm headed up here. Okay. I'm a total idiot because I didn't get the nut actually out and ready to go. Okay, try that again. I happen to get that back nut in there first. I'm just going to get him threaded up. All right, that's like half the battle. Just get that first nut done. Once you got that done, you're kind of in good shape. That's assuming you put the right post. I had it turned and I didn't realize it, so that was my stupid fault. All right, so the arrow was indicating the one that had to point kind of into the middle of the car, is basically where you want the arrow pointing. So that's that. Come on. Things that line up right. Okay. So the arrow does make a difference, but they're only going to line up one way. What was happening is the bolts just weren't lining up at all until I got it turned the right way, which is good. You can't screw it up then. All right, I'm going to get these somewhat tightened up, especially the front two that are easier to get to right now. All right, got those top ones kind of put together a little bit. Now, what I need to do, I'm going to go ahead and take this green one off. It's really not doing anything for me anymore anyway. This guy kind of back in place. There. Okay. And already that wheel is not going to go too far too fast. Now that I've got it kind of back into that little spot there. All right. Get at least one of these guys through. There. See, I just gave it a little lift underneath. Yeah, I think I got that clean enough there. Yeah, just a little wiggle around. Maybe a little. There, it has through enough. I got the threads over here. I'll tighten that up the rest of the way. Whoa. Okay. Is that a 19? Yeah. And that's a 17 over here, I think. Yeah. This is not very high torque, this drill that I'm using. It gets me plenty close enough for now. I'll get my torque wrench out in a minute. In fact, let me do that. Let me do that now before I have all these hoses solid and in the way. Oh, no, sorry. First, remember this not matching up. Okay, no big deal. I'm gonna jack up this wheel, just again, right underneath here. Closer, closer, closer. And just make him I'm giving a lift, just the slightest bit of a lift on that rod. And is that a 17 also? Yeah, there you go. A little bit more for good measure. Okay. Oh yeah, let me get these guys out of the way. Don't need that nonsense anymore. Okay, so then it's torque. All right, so torque wrench. Unlock it there. I'm gonna go to 70. These things are. Make sure you're on the foot-pound side. Mine has Newton meters too. Make sure you're on the foot-pound side. I'm going to the 70 mark. You see this little, where it comes down to that middle line. I bring it up close to that and bring it around where the 0 is right in line with that, what's vertical right now, and also right where that the little hash for 70 comes in. Tighten that guy up. Okay, 70 is good enough. I think the range is like 70 to 80 or 70 to 85 or something. 70 is enough. So when you're torquing, just like any socket, but the thing you're looking for is there, that noise, where it won't do it anymore. And then that's torqued. There it is. There it is. So those two are torqued in. I guess I could do. Yeah, that's. I think that's just flipping that over. Yep, that's it. Okay, now it's to the top. All right. So. See, this is all now under pressure and kind of pushed up and everything. So I can hand tighten these guys to an extent. See, that thing's loose, but it's not going to go very far. It's not a big deal. Shouldn't make any noise. It's just rubber. Shouldn't make any noise rattling either. Not gonna use that. Tighten what I can. And here. Let's see that guy. Just no perfect way to get in there. Kind of a bummer, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna get that guy off here in a second. Torque those other two. What was that? Those were 15. The original ones up here were 14. These are 15. All right, so I'm gonna take this guy off. Make sure I can get into that one right and get it tightened down. Take both of these off. All right, gotta take this other one off. Yeah, you can see it. There. That's all I need. Yeah, but I can't do it with that. Like this guy. And I'll torque that down. Just double check it. I bet it's about as tight as it's gonna go. Okay, I did the torque. You guys get the idea, I think. So, so this is pretty self-explanatory, I think, guys, but, you know, I want to bring these guys back up. You see it's got like the little tab that just kind of goes on the bottom, just up against it. Helps you make sure it stays kind of straight. And there, get him started in there. Sometimes this can be a little tricky because these have been painted, and so you kind of have to like cut grooves a tiny bit in the threads. So they might not totally go in by, by hand initially. Not a big deal. Just hand tight. These need a torque thing on these. Oops. There. That is one wheel done. I mean, obviously put the wheel on, but yeah, otherwise that is one wheel done. Let that guy drop back down. I'm actually gonna go put this back under here. I need to jack this up to even fit the tire under there. But yeah, it's just putting the tire back on. And he is done.